So I wanted to bring this up too, because I thought this was pretty fascinating for those of you who may not have had a chance to read it. But The Athletic, which I don't know how people feel about The Athletic. It's been a website. It's been around. I remember it was a big deal when it started. Was it Stuart Mandel was one of the big guys for it or whatever? But there's a lot of other elements to it that are pretty great. But they came out with a list, as it is talking season, of the top 100 college football rivalries. I did not know that there were even 100 college football rivalries, but there are. And they ranked them. And Arkansas is represented on this list. And it's kind of insane. It's kind of insane to think about where they're at. So, chat, I'll have to see what the chat thinks and have them dive into it and get all pissed off about stuff too. But chat, I'll give you one of them. If you thought the Arkansas-Missouri game, the rivalry there, is ranked in the top 100, where would you rank it? I have a feeling I know where people are going to say, but where would you rank it? Because the Battle Line rivalry is right there as one of the top 100. But before we get to the list, though, Ellis, what do you make of Arkansas and the rivalries? Like, do they have rivalry games, but do they have rivals?
No, they do have rivalry games, but they don't have rivals. Because again, and it comes back to, I just don't think other schools view Arkansas as a rival. But then every now and then the game can have some weight behind it. But I don't know. I mean, like I wish Arkansas was more in this conversation and had like a true real rival. And it's why I think us and Missouri should just, join hands and just embrace each other.
I mean, I still don't want to do that. I refuse to do that. But I get why people say to do it. Just get over it and make it work. I just continue to feel like you're just the two kids that nobody picked on or nobody picked to be in your, little duo group. And you guys are the only ones left in class. And then the teacher's like, well, we got to pair these two together because they're losers and we want them to have each other. So that's what it feels like. But the Arkansas-Missouri game is ranked 98th, by the way, of 100. I don't think that's very surprising that it's that low on the list. But the reason I bring that up, and we'll get to the other games that are listed, but the reason I bring that up is because I've run into people so many times at the SEC media days or even Missouri people, they're like, this is a rivalry. You just need to accept them as your rival. This is a rivalry. It's become a rivalry. It's become a rivalry. Well, The Athletic has it ranked 98th of the top 100 college football rivalries. So not saying that it can't be, not saying that it even isn't to an extent. But anybody that's trying to act like this is a rivalry that both teams and everybody involved considers to be their top one, it's just not the case because, according to the ranking system, both of these teams with Arkansas and Missouri have much higher ranked rivalry games against other teams, not each other.
Who else does Missouri have that's higher ranked than Arkansas? Because I assume they have a couple, like Oklahoma.
It's let me pull the list back up here. It is Kansas, I believe, because that is their Missouri, Kansas, ranked at 19th overall. So pretty high up there. But
it's funny, and this is kind of a cop out because and it's also like not really, people probably aren't going to like this because this is not how college sports work. I think it's okay for these things to be year to year. Like some years you might have a lot of heat with one specific opponent. Obviously, Arkansas, Kentucky basketball, that's a basketball separate thing. But it's like, I think it's okay for there to be specific years where, those two teams that year, they were both 9-3 or whatever, and it was a big rivalry game that year. Might not be the same the next year.
Yeah, it's because to me, it's about circumstances. I remember as a kid, I say as a kid, it's like 15 years ago, but how much I hated Ole Miss with a burning passion. I wanted to see them lose every game. Well, it's because of Houston Nutt was there. I mean, I don't like Ole Miss, but it was a lot because of Houston Nutt was there. Same thing with a little bit now with like Tennessee baseball. Is it because you hate Tennessee baseball or you hate the antics and Tony Vitello and all that stuff? That's what it's more about. It just depends on who the coach is, what the culture is, how it's approached a little bit. Like even Missouri, I didn't really hate them. I didn't care for them one way when they had what was his name? Pinkel. Gary Pinkel. He's like the most boring coach of all time. And I didn't really care. Like Barry Odom was there, and that was fine. Didn't really care one way or the other. But as soon as that clown of Eli Drinkwitz got there, I was like, okay, now you're really annoying.
Exactly. And see, again, I'm not trying to claim that it's this awesome rivalry, but I do think there's something there. And here's the other part of it, because I see, everyone in the chat has their opinion of who Arkansas has rivalries with, and everyone is listing teams who have very clear other rivals. Like if you think LSU is a huge other rival, well, they have other big rivalry games. They view Bama as a rival. They view Florida as a rival. I don't even know who they're playing on Thanksgiving these days. But then it's like Ole Miss. They clearly have the Egg Bowl. They have a rival. It's like you're definitely not their rival. That's why I think the Missouri thing has some legs, is because neither team has another rivalry where it's like, oh, we can't get over this one. Like Missouri, even you mentioned Kansas. It's not like Missouri fans are like, well, we can't replace that Kansas rivalry. Oh, they very much can. And I think there's something there, but it's going to take, like you said, it's going to take Eli Drinkowitz continuing to piss us off. Maybe Arkansas gets one over on them and it pisses off Missouri fans. It has to kind of fester and have real authentic moments. And that's where all these rivalries that we talk about, Arkansas, Texas, Arkansas, LSU, they had real authentic moments. Arkansas, the Golden Boot, like all these things, the game of the century. These are real moments in time that we all can remember. Arkansas, Missouri currently doesn't really have that. Mm-hmm. Now, will it? Maybe. And I think it can, but it doesn't have it yet.
Well, Arkansas and LSU is next on this list. And folks, I'm not even going to have you guess because none of you are going to get it right. Arkansas and LSU are ranked at 48th as far as college football rivalries. Now, again, you got to realize this is 100. That's a lot. And 48th isn't exactly one that everyone's looking at and be like, oh, man, can't wait to see the Battle of the Golden Boot. But you're talking about a full 50 spots ahead of the other one that everyone thinks is a rivalry. So, Ellis, as a native Louisianan, I think is how you say it, how do you feel about that placement of the battle for the Golden Boot at 48th in college football?
I think it's about right. And John, you know that I think it's about right because you asked me to guess, and I guessed these pretty closely. I think that's fair. I mean, Arkansas and LSU again has a lot of really iconic moments, like some awesome games that we can all remember. And me personally, I grew up in Louisiana. I always hated LSU more than I hated any other team. I was pretty old before I realized other Arkansas fans didn't feel the same way. That's going to be my number one rival for the rest of my life. I love those games, and I think those Thanksgiving Day games were awesome, or the week of Thanksgiving were so awesome. I think there's enough good moments, and there's enough heat between the fan bases, proximity. You have a trophy. It should be on the list, but I also don't think it can be that high on the list. So I think 50 range is about right.
Yeah, I was, even if I hadn't looked at this list, I would have said middle of the pack, as far as not the worst, but not the best, not one that even people consider. But you can't say that it's doesn't even belong in the top 50. I guess it does. People forget, and I feel like I'm old, but people forget that in the early mid 2000s, I know it was a long time ago, but still, the winner of this game for like 5 straight years went on to win the SEC West. It was at the end of the year. The winner of that game went on to win the West. That's why you saw the Miracle on Markham Part 1, because they knew what was on the line. And even fast forward a little bit, 2010, the winner of that game got to go to the Sugar Bowl, which LSU may not have cared as much because they go to BCS bowl games all the time. Yeah. Arkansas had never been to one. So there was something on the line. And of course, 2011 didn't go Arkansas's way, but that game was basically who's going to win the national championship in people's eyes.
You also had back-to-back years where the loser of the game went to the SEC title. 06, Arkansas loses the game, goes to the SEC title. 07, LSU loses the game and then wins the national title. It's crazy.
I forget. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that is weird. But it also, it's the heaviest trophy of all the rivalry trophies. So there you got that going for you. And I don't know. I know a lot of LSU fans don't care about it, but my guy T-Bob A. Bear, it's his favorite trophy. It was when he played at LSU, which he's on offensive line. He's now at Barstool Sports, ironically enough. But he's played offensive line on that championship team in 07 and was there. He wanted to beat Arkansas. He wanted that trophy. He loved it. He may be the only LSU player, coach, fan, person that really wanted it. But if you ever ask, well, LSU doesn't care. Well, T-Bob does, and he wanted it. And
T-Bob is their guy.
Yeah.
Yes, he should be.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So that is at 48. So you're probably like, well, there's still one more. Yeah. And it's higher. Yeah. Arkansas and Texas. 38th overall in college football rivalry. Too high, too low, just right.
Just right. Same kind of reason. Like there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of moments, but Arkansas is obviously not Texas's number one rival. And a lot of their best moments were back in the day, but there's still plenty of heat between these fan bases. I just think there's obviously other more natural rivalries where both teams are each other's number one. And so you have to get through all of those before you get to these secondary rivalries. But in terms of secondary rivalries, there's not many better than Arkansas, Texas, I think.
No, and I think it's impressive to me that one, it's 38th, not because of how shocking it is in the grand scheme of college football, but you think about it, Ellis, that between Arkansas leaving the SEC in 1991 to 2 years ago, I guess technically, or this past year, when Texas and Arkansas rejoined the same conference, it's about what, 30 years roughly, where they weren't even in the same league. Now they played each other a couple of times, bowl games, obviously played each other in 2021, played each other in 2008. That didn't go well, but 03, 04, there were a few times. But the fact that they went that long of a stretch with really not playing each other consistently here in the modern era, and it's still put at that position, makes me wonder that if, not saying they should have done this, but if Arkansas and Texas had never separated in the conference, would maybe have that gotten any higher? Would that have portrayed itself to continue to have grown and become a bigger thing? Maybe not. But the fact that it's still that high after a 30-year absence between the rivalry is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, because again, like there's actually now like a whole generation of Arkansas fans who are just now kind of starting to embrace that. And I definitely, like, when I was growing up, I remember my dad would kind of tell me about how much he hated Texas, and I was like, yeah, I will gladly, I'll hate anyone you hate, Pops, whatever you want. But I didn't like have those memories, because there weren't many when I was growing up of like Arkansas, Texas stuff. I remember Matt Jones playing them and stuff like that, but there really weren't many memories. But now I think that the games are starting to ramp up more. Now, of course, they're back in the same conference. I think if we do this list in 10 years, it'll be higher.
I do too. So I know we'll get to some of your chats and we'll get to our heavy hitters, but two things for you, Ellis. If there was a team not listed for Arkansas that you feel like would be a rival, who would be the team that you would throw in as an honorable mention maybe for a college football rivalry?
A&M, Arkansas A&M for sure. That was actually, I think I guessed that before I guessed Missouri when you were telling me this earlier. I think Arkansas A&M is like, I hate A&M. Like, they're definitely up there for me. You kind of had a trophy there for a little bit. There's some memories, there's some moments, but I think Arkansas A&M is a pretty solid rival. And I think A&M has other teams, of course, that they consider rivals, but I think they consider Arkansas a pretty big rival as well.
See, I do too. I'd say A&M. To me, I always felt like Arkansas and A&M, when in the SEC before Texas joined, that they should have played each other at the end of the year. I thought that would have been great. But now that Texas is there, it is what it is. See, I'm going to get mad again because Arkansas and Missouri got stuck. How much fun would it be if Arkansas and Oklahoma played each other every year at the end of the season in football? Because Oklahoma does not, they said, we're not playing Bedlam anymore. We're not doing Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma and LSU, maybe they have some sort of rivalry or whatever connection, but that's the final game. It doesn't matter. The point is, they weren't going to give LSU and Missouri. That wasn't going to happen. I just think it would be so cool if these two teams met at the end of every year because of the proximity. Hey, Thanksgiving, you get done with the fam, and then the next day you drive 3 hours one way or the other to see Arkansas and Oklahoma play.
John, can you do me a quick favor? Where is Ole Miss, Mississippi State on that list that you have? Are they top 5?
Well, I was going to also, this is going to be my next question to you, of if you could name the top 5. And I'm going to tell you this, Ole Miss, Mississippi State is not, and this was going to be something I took issue with in this list. Probably the biggest issue.
Probably because they're not significant programs. But like Michigan, Ohio State's number 1, I assume.
That is number 1.
Iron Bowl 2.
Iron Bowl's 2.
Florida State.
No, that is a 9th. So close.
Texas OU.
That's number 3.
Okay.
They got the top 3.
Oregon State. Like,
no, that one is where is Oregon State? That one's down low.
I'm blanking on rivalry games right now.
Well, I'll give you a hint for one of them. One of them is the only game that gets played on this day.
Oh, Army Navy.
It's number 4.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And this the 5th one, the number 5 one, old school, like battle it out.
Notre Dame and Miami.
No. Go the opposite direction on the coast.
Oh, it's USC.
There you go.
Okay.
Number 5, Notre Dame, USC. That's number 5.
Damn, Notre Dame, USC's over the Egg Bowl?
Dude, The Egg Bowl is listed at 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't care about okay, let me read the ones that are in front of it. Some of them may agree, and this is just one person's list, but still. Nebraska, Oklahoma is number 6.
No, objectively not. I mean, I understand old school, my great grandfather who served in NAM. Yeah, I'm sure he gave a shit about that game, but come on.
Yeah. That's number 6. Miami, Florida State is number 7.
I can't really speak on that, but sure.
To me, yeah, it was hard to beat back in the late 90s, early 2000s. During that stretch. But
what about Georgia, Florida?
Georgia, Florida is listed at 12.
Okay, that's probably fair.
Yeah. You have Ohio State, Penn State at 8. Okay. Florida State at 9. Minnesota, Wisconsin at 10, which I know you may hate on, but
big trophy.
Yeah, yes. It's a very big deal. So I'll give it credit for that. I don't agree with this one. Alabama, Tennessee at 11.
Mm-mm. This is maybe because 12. Come on.
Yeah, maybe because Alabama just has owned Tennessee. But I do think it's kind of cool. Other teams do this too, but the smoking of cigars is kind of fun. But I wouldn't put them at that. Georgia, Florida is at 12. Alabama, LSU is at 13.
Yeah.
USC, UCLA at 14. Texas A&M at 15. So again, these are all ones ahead of the Egg Bowl.
A lot of these I would not have above the Egg Bowl. I'm being honest with you.
No. Michigan State, definitely not ahead of the Egg Bowl. Auburn, Georgia, I think it's like the oldest rivalry in the South or whatever it is. Maybe, but still, I don't know. Michigan, Notre Dame, They have Kansas, Missouri above the Egg Bowl. Kansas and Missouri above the Egg Bowl at 19. Harvard and Yale, do not care, but I get it. Washington, Oregon, absolutely not. Iowa, Wisconsin, absolutely not. And then you get to Ole Miss and Mississippi State. So either way, I just disagreed with that list.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. That is very interesting. But so I see Kenny here who's been very angry in the chat all day. Yeah, he says he lives in Mississippi, and we are definitely Ole Miss's rival. I just don't know how you came to this conclusion. I guess he has a buddy that's an Ole Miss fan that's like, man, we hate Arkansas. But like, Ole Miss definitely, their rival is 1,000% Mississippi State. Like, I know it's only 23rd on the list or whatever, but that it's Ole Miss and Mississippi State are like the most natural rivalry of all time.
Yeah, I think that's just trolling, dude.
I think Arkansas and Ole Miss have had some great games across really two sports mostly, not really basketball. They've had some great, buzz between them. Of course, Pittman and Kiffin being hired the same year helps, but I don't think that Arkansas and Ole Miss necessarily is like. I don't even know if Ole Miss is in Arkansas's top 5 rivals.
I wouldn't think, but then again, I don't interact with a whole bunch of Ole Miss fans. I think they would hate LSU more, than Arkansas.
Right. Which he says Mississippi State is not their only rival. Ole Miss and LSU is a rival. I agree with this, but like, I don't think Arkansas is like on Ole Miss's list really.
No, I think it's more, and that's what Arkansas is. Like, that's what Arkansas has become. That's why I've always said they don't have a rival. They just hate everyone equally because they just have a bunch of people they hate. Real quick, I know we'll get to our heavy hitters. Officially, we've spoken into existence. We have the official attendees of the SEC Football Media Days for the Razorback.
Can I guess first?
Yes, I was going to say, I want you to guess. You could probably guess.
Green and Cam Ball are locks. And the third one, offense or defense? Carmona. Actually, it's Carmona.
It's not.
It's Sorry?
It's Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
I thought Carmona would do it too, but here is my reckless assumption here, Ellis, of why not Carmona. What was the last thing people saw of Fernando Carmona?
That's right. Him stepping on that boy. Yeah, that's a good call.
And so they knew that he was going to get asked about it. And because that's what people do at media days. They like to throw some things out and troll a little bit. But yeah, I think that makes sense. Honestly, I haven't heard much from Sorry, so I think that'd be pretty fascinating to talk to him about, why he decided to come back, like what does he make of the defense, all those things. But yeah, Green and Ball, my goodness, like the betting odds was minus 150,000 for those two guys to be doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Cam Ball, like if you don't bring him to media day, that's kind of a waste of a spot, especially because he's a senior now, right?
I don't know.
Is he a redshirt junior? Maybe he's a redshirt junior. No, I feel like he's a senior.
I think he's a senior too.
He's been in school for a while. His freshman year was 2021. So if he redshirted 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, he's a senior. He's a redshirt
senior. Yeah, he's a redshirt senior. Yeah. So
that's the only thing. You remember Brett Bielema was always weird about gotta have seniors.
Which Brett Bielema did a lot of stupid stuff, dude, man. Like, because I remember that one year. No offense to him, I remember that one year he brought. It was one of his first years at Arkansas. He brought Bray Cook, Alan Turner, and who was the other one?
I feel like I remember this one as well.
Yeah. Like it was just a bunch of.
That would have been 2013.
Yeah, I believe so. Maybe it was Travis Swanson. Maybe?
It would have been Swanson because he was a center that year.
Yeah, something like that. And again, I'm not
Travis
hating on
Swanson,
the players.
who's skinny now. He's like 205 pounds.
Yeah, dude's electric, man. And I'm not hating on those players. I'm just saying, at media days, man, everyone wants to hear from the QB. You got to bring your quarterback at minimum. You got to bring your quarterback, and then bring your captains, bring your guys that have been around the program for a while. So I have no problem. But here's the deal: I have no problem with who he's bringing, like with Green and all of them. I think that's fair.
100%. I think it's perfectly fine. No complaints.
Yeah. We'll get a chance to hear from them next Thursday. It's when Arkansas is going on that day. Sharing the day with Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz, which is, I'm sure, going to be fascinating. Trying to get Drinkwitz for an interview. Surely he'd come on with me. And we go way back. We're friends. He likes me. So I think, it's Arkansas.
By the way, John, all these rivalry conversations we're having, SEC Media Days is a good time to get some of those answers of like, hey, what do you guys think?
Have you read my notes there, Ellis? How did you know that I was going to do that? Yeah. I was actually going to do one of those compilations for social media, sit down with every guest I interview. Hey, when you think of Arkansas, who would you say is their rival? And just get everyone's answer.
I think you should you should be like, hey, let's do a hog call and then get these kids on video calling the Hogs.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go over well, but who knows? Maybe it gets kooky over there, dude. Weird things happen when it comes to that. So, but yeah, there you have it. We're going to have a chance to hear from those three individuals next week for Razorbacks. So anyways,